Happy Boxing Day. No, it's
what?
It's Boxing
It's Chris.
Day. No,
what?
it's the day after Christmas.
What's Boxing
That's
Day?
when we're dropping this
Wait,
episode. On the 26th.
Yeah.
Not everybody celebrates Christmas.
No,
Let's
you're
not-
right.
let's not
I'm
get it
sorry. That was
twisted
so
here.
insensitive. I just might need to change some stuff in the script real quick.
Yeah. Go back and
Wait.
look
What's
through
Boxing Day? What's Boxing Day?
Well,
Gino?
Boxing Day, Nikita. It's a wonderful holiday following the day of Christmas, which we celebrate, in which the English primarily like to celebrate.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
Traditionally, it's when the rich aristocracy would give gifts to their servants and be like, happy day to you.
Oh, well, that's.
I guess
Gino.
we
Wow.
decided not to do that in America.
Well,
for
I'm
whatever
poor,
reason.
Gino, so that doesn't really help me out anyway. so.
Maybe if you were a servant, you would be getting gifts today.
All
I
right, Gino.
suppose.
Well, good for you. Good for you. All right. Well, happy Boxing Day, nerds. How are you all doing?
I hope your holidays went well.
Yeah,
whatever
yeah.
you might be celebrating.
Hopefully you all are staying safe. COVID-19 is still ramping up, so please, if you've been traveling, just take it easy. Try not to mix and mingle with too many people. Wear your masks. The COVID is still serious, even with the vaccine coming out. So.
There's also a lot of snow out there, right?
Yeah,
now.
yeah. At least here where we are right now.
I'm
there's
guessing.
yeah, let's
Definitely not
probably
recording
if you're
this
listening
in
in
the
Florida
future
or something.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah.
Watch it. It's gonna come in a couple of weeks, and it's just gonna be like, no snow hits America. It's clear.
Watch. Maybe we had a white Christmas and we just don't know. This totally isn't pre-recorded by any means. Anyways, guys, happy Boxing Day, happy holidays. Hopefully you're taking it easy. We thought we'd record a little Boxing Day special.
Little
for you
holiday
guys.
special.
Yeah, holiday
just sum it
special.
up
There we go. There we
in
go.
that way, if
Exactly.
you wanted
We
to.
got to be more considerate. I'm sorry, guys. We won't be going over any like crazy comic book news and stuff like that. If y'all haven't kept up with our social media, check out the Wonder Project. We've got an Instagram page, _Wonder Project. We have a Facebook page. Follow us there, and you'll get all these updates. We just released a video a couple days ago explaining all of us have just been traveling. We're not really gonna have enough time to record any major episodes. So this week and next week, we'll be uploading clips and stuff from the first couple episodes. You'll be getting this special episode surprise, the Boxing Day special.
It's a bit of a dry spell.
Yeah. We'll be coming back more structured and more focused with these next episodes. You'll be getting a whole new monthly release schedule on when Your Resident Nerd will be coming out, as well as our other podcast, Couch Bros. So we're just taking this time to get a little more organized and make sure that we're really set for 2021. But we thought we'd just record this fun little episode for you all.
So today, we'll be talking about a number of things. We'll be talking about a comic book segment relating to Santa Claus.
Being an Omega level mutant and a brutal dictator, what?
And then we'll be going over a little bit of how Japan celebrates Christmas and how it's definitely not like our Christmas in any way, shape, or form.
As well as a really weird movie that we watched
Called
the other day.
Tokyo Godfathers.
Yeah, not well.
I'll
yeah.
have to defend it because my opinion has changed since watching it
Really?
recently.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll go into it later down the line, and then we'll be having a little debate here.
Yeah, a little
at the
surprise
end.
debate at the end.
So it's all chill today. It's all cold. You could say.
That was bad, Gino. That was bad.
Hey, it's winter, man. It's winter.
Anyways. So, just to get into the comic book segment. So, as we said earlier, Santa Claus is an Omega level mutant and a brutal dictator. That's
What is an Omega level mutant? What does that even mean?
That's a good point. That's a good point.
Am I an alpha mutant? Am I a beta mutant?
I mean, you'd probably be a beta. But anyways, no, I'm kidding, Gino. No, so for those of you that don't know, in the Marvel Universe, I'm sure most of you guys have probably heard of like the X-Men and the Brotherhood of Evil Mutants. Those, they're classified in the Marvel Universe actually by their power level. And so I don't remember all the power levels, but there is like beta, alpha, omega level, omega being the most powerful. And just recently, Jonathan Hickman actually just released like a segment in the Dawn of X comics showing off like what omega level mutant really means. And how they classify it now is that they're these beings with no recognizable limit essentially in their respective field. So take Magneto. Magneto is an omega level mutant because there's no limit to his magnetism abilities, and there's no other mutant that matches up to him. As well as like Jean Grey, who a lot of you have heard about, the Phoenix. She has, I think it's telekinetic. I don't think hers is telepathic. Her telekinetic abilities are her omega level mutant abilities, and with that she can restructure atoms and matter. Like she has this atomic manipulation with her telekinetic abilities, and so it's basically just saying these people are at a cosmic level with no recognizable limits with their abilities. So that is is what an Omega level mutant is. And Santa Claus is an Omega level mutant in the Marvel universe.
So, I'll bring it up before we continue on here that I went to go, because, we've been doing research for this episode, and I was doing mine, and I was like, I'll look into Nikita's section a little bit. And just looking up, like, instances of Santa Claus in comic books. And, like, holy cow, man. I saw this one panel that it was like, oh, no, we can't give Santa the Infinity Gauntlet. This is a terrible idea. And like everything that spiraled out of that, I thought it was hilarious. So I am quite excited to see how exactly he's an Omega level mutant and what his powers really mean in the grand scheme of things for the Marvel Universe.
Yeah, he's had a lot of crazy abilities. And I'll go over those abilities near the end after I cover Marvel Santa Claus and DC Santa Claus, because both are starkly different on how they handle Santa. So to start off with Marvel, Santa Claus is a little crazy. And what I mean by that is he's just insanely powerful. So powerful that near the beginning of Marvel's history, Santa was constantly mistaken for the Asgardian god Odin for a while. Yeah, exactly. They thought Santa Claus was Odin. He's played more of a role in Marvel's history he's literally fought alongside Captain America throughout World War II and the other invaders.
So in the, because comic books have like such a long standing, is it literally in the Silver Age they were writing like stories with
literally in the Silver Age, like Santa Claus has been in comics for a long time. And in World War II, like he wasn't, I think how he got involved was that Adolf Hitler had kidnapped Santa as a blow to America's capitalist spirit, obviously, and so FDR sends in Captain America, Bucky, and Nick Fury to rescue him, and it ends with Saint Nick landing on a final pop to good old Adolf before escaping back to drop off presents to America's children overnight. I forget which issue it was, but Santa also saves New York from Hatemonger, who's like a clone of Adolf Hitler later on in the future. And Hatemonger, sorry, I get those two mixed up all the time, but Hatemonger was trying to drop a nuke on New York City on Christmas Eve. And basically Santa flies through on his sleigh at incredible speeds, assumably like light speed or maybe sound speed, distracting and maneuvering around the Nazi pilots, and ends up tricking a Nazi pilot into chasing him down, and hits Hatemonger's plane, stopping the bomb from getting dropped on New York. So you could say Santa Claus is like an ace level U.S. Air Force pilot, I guess.
And this is not including, as I said, the later canon, which would include his mutant abilities, right?
Yeah. This is before he was even a mutant. He was just a crazy badass war vet, essentially. That all sounds cool, but that's not even the peak of Santa Claus's abilities in the Marvel Universe. I mean, Santa...
Wait a second. I just realized something. It makes sense for him to be like an ace pilot, right? Like, he's got that sled. He's got that sled that he's constantly riding around on. And
yeah.
I can't imagine riding around with 8 reindeers, ? Right? It's that many?
Yeah.
8?
I think I don't know the
Can you
math on
name
that.
the 8 reindeers?
I really can't.
Ooh.
I'm trying to think. Dasher, Comet, Rudolph. Rudolph's technically not officially one of them.
I think he is one of the 8.
No, I don't think so.
Why don't you look it up?
All right, we'll look it up. He's not one of the... It's Dasher, Dancer, Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donder, variously spelled Dunder or Donner, and Blitzen. So not
that's
Rudolph.
4. So
that's 8.
7.
No, that's
Did I miscount?
Dasher, Dancer, 2,
Prancer.
Prancer, Vixen, Comet, Cupid, Donder, and Blitzen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8.
Listen, I miscounted on my fingers. Let's not get into it.
Oh my god,
it's fine. I'm glad there's not a camera here.
Confirmed. Comic nerds are smarter than weebs. We found it out today, folks.
It hurts.
Happy Box Day.
Boxing Day.
I'm sorry. Boxing Day. Whatever. Boxing Day. Sorry. Anyways. So that's not the peak of Santa Claus in the Marvel Universe. Santa really hit the map in like the 80s, near the end of Claremont's era of X-Men. For those of you that don't know, Claremont was probably one of the most famous, if not the most famous, X-Men writer of his time. He's the reason that comics really blew up in the 80s with the X-Men series, and that's why Marvel like so heavily focuses on them even now. So in the 80s, there was an X-Men story where the X-Men were preparing for Christmas when Cerebro, which is a machine owned by the X-Men, which detects and locates mutants around the world. This thing starts going off and notifies the X-Men that it's detected an Omega-level mutant, possibly one of the most powerful at the time. And I think you know where this is leading. Now, for those of you that don't know that term, again, Omega-level mutant, we just explained, is a powerful mutant that just has no known limits. So Santa Claus is kind of ridiculous. So as the X-Men are getting this ping from Cerebro, the Brotherhood of Mutants, an evil counter to the X-Men group, get tipped off about the Omega-level mutant in New York as well. So they head that way. So the two teams track down the mutant in what I think was like a small mall or shop of some sort in the city, and both run into each other. A fight breaks out between the two groups, and they're battling throughout this mall, and they're trying to figure out who's going to find and recruit this new mutant. And then suddenly, Santa Claus pops in out of nowhere. You just think he's this like mall Santa who's just chilling. He's watching the whole fight. Pops in, and at that point, it's game over. Santa turns to the evil mutants and literally just turns them into toys. So you can assume he has like matter manipulation or magic of some sort.
Like he just snaps his fingers and they're just like...
Literally, that's all it is. He turns them, snap, done. They're toys. The X-Men then thank him and realize he's the Omega level mutant. So they're like, oh, hey, wanna join up with the X-Men? And he's like, nah, I'm good. So he wipes their memories and teleports them to Rockefeller Center right by the ice rink Christmas tree so that they can spend a nice Christmas Eve together. And that's it. Santa just bolts off.
To be fair, if I was a based like Omega level mutant, I wouldn't want to join the X-Men. I wouldn't want to be with the Brotherhood of Evil. Well, like, you know, this motherfucker can just like wipe people's memories at a whim. You know, he just wants to see people happy. Just wants to.
That's true. He's using his abilities for good, at least. You know that.
Maybe he could be like dropping food off to people around the world who need it, but that's okay. Don't worry. You know, we let Omega
once a year. He's doing his thing once a year. He doesn't need to do more than that. We're fine. But anyways, you can imagine. You know, you just meet Santa and he turns people into toys, wipes your memory, teleports you away. I think we can all agree that he's insanely powerful. That's just some of his abilities. Like, he did all that in 3 pages, I think, if I remember correctly.
Did he turn the Brotherhood of Evil back into...
I think they had to because they were in the next comic series, so I'm guessing maybe it was like a time. I hope he did. Otherwise, you know, they've got to explain that in canon.
Santa Claus just murdered a bunch of people. It was like,
Santa ain't as nice as we thought he was. We'll get to that in DC. But anyways, he's done a lot more than just worked with the X-Men too. I mean, he's worked with heroes like Spidey and helping kids on the street. He's flirted with She-Hulk and got caught by Mrs. Claus, so that was a whole thing. And he's even solved 2 major Christmas cases with Howard the Duck, arguably Marvel's best detective. And also nearly got assassinated by Deadpool because some kids were angry that Santa didn't bring them presents. Turns out apparently that was just a whole mistake because it was just an evil elf that was sabotaging Santa's present delivery thing. So, you know, they meant to get presents even though they hired an assassin to kill Santa Claus. So sorry, I know that was a very confusing sentence for you. Essentially, yeah, I don't. The Deadpool comics are always really weird.
Did he kill the evil elf, or like did Santa Claus?
Yeah, Deadpool killed the evil elf, and he set things straight with Santa. And then after that, just went on his way.
So Deadpool tried to kill Omega level
mutant. He traveled to North Pole, not New York.
You know, I love Deadpool, and I know there's a lot of Deadpool stands out there, but like, it just wasn't gonna happen. He's not that powerful. You know, like, yeah,
Deadpool loses that fight 10 out of 10 times.
Yeah, it's just... But he can heal, Nikita. His infinite healing factor.
Don't even get me started. That's something we'll talk about in a future. Mutant, right? No. I don't even think he's technically considered a mutant.
Yeah, well, but you lose your head and come back and tell me you don't feel Omega after that, all right?
All right, Gino, all right.
So DC...
That was Santa and Marvel. Now DC. So it's really interesting because like Marvel and DC take Santa kind of differently. You know, with Marvel you have like a set canon continuity with Santa. With DC, it's a little different. They've more got histories with Santa. So even though DC doesn't have a set origin for Santa like Marvel does, they've kind of used that to their liberty to make Santa more unique in each story he's kind of been in. So for example, the only origin Santa kind of has is one told by John Constantine himself, which I think that was during the Vertigo Comics imprint. And for those of you that don't know, Vertigo is another comic company that DC essentially bought off. So they act as like an alternate universe, but also as like the source for the DC multiverse. It's a little confusing.
They're the ones who made like the Sandman.
Yeah,
comics,
Sandman,
right?
Dream, Death, all the presents. Like they've set the multiversal structure for.
They're
DC.
the ones who are like, oh, well, this is what like Lucifer is. This is what God kind of.
Yeah,
is.
Morningstar, all them, and now they're officially under like the DC logo because I think DC has just completely gotten rid of Vertigo, just a few years back, not too long actually.
If you want some good John Constantine stories, look at like DC's recent animation movies. They've been repping him
like Justice
hard,
League Dark. Yeah, especially I mean, he's a very popular character, and if you know him, then you know that this Santa origin is a little crazy out there. But essentially, in this universe, Constantine is just trying to whip up a ritual to hunt down a villain named the Laughing Magician, and to do this, he needs the ashes of Old Saint Nick. Now, according to Constantine, Santa is this guy named I'm probably mispronouncing this, Agios Nikolaos, aka Saint Nick. born in Turkey. He was a man of the church, a saint. The man himself was a supposed mystic, using his abilities to resurrect like the dead and bring kindness to the poor, as well as creating gifts and charity for them, all that. Constantine finds his dead remains in Italy, where Saint Nick's remains were transported after the invasion of Turkey by the church. There, Constantine grounds up Santa's remains to get through customs, returns to London, and then uses them in the ritual, which doesn't even work out, I believe. I think I remember it did not find him the laughing magician, but another like mystic spirit that was like, yeah, not me, bro. Sorry about that.
What is so to end spell? It like that's just like a one-time use kind of spell, right?
Yeah, you can only use it because you only got
there's only one remains of
body of Saint Nick, which I guess you just use whatever's left over. But I think to ensure no one else used it, John Constantine just kind of snorts what's left and just kind of makes a joke like, "Looks like it's gonna be a white Christmas this year." Yeah, so he just John Constantine
I wish you could see my face right now. I was about to say what?
Yeah, John Constantine is not your regular hero or magician wizard character. He's been through some stuff, so his comics are a little more graphic.
I would say hot tip to people at home. Not that I know anything about this personally, but if you're looking for a high, snorting the remains of another person, usually not the way to get it,
Not at all. And now that's just Vertigo's version of Santa Claus. That's one origin to Saint Nick. I think DC has also tried to tie this into the main DC universe through Black Adam, because the only other known story in like the canon universe that can confirm Constantine's tale, now that they're in the main DC universe, is Black Adam. Now I know a lot of people probably know who Black Adam is, but for those that don't know, he's the emperor of like this fictional country in the DC universe called Kondak. Mm-hmm. I'm probably mispronouncing that too, but he's been.
To be fair, it's fictionalized, right?
Yeah. So it doesn't really matter. Yeah. Not that important. But basically, he's been this ruler for this country for centuries. Because for those of you that don't know, he's got immortality through his magical Shazam abilities.
I was going to say, if it also helps anybody who doesn't know the recent movie Shazam.
Oh yeah.
He is like the foil, the anti-Shazam or whatever. You can call it whatever.
He was Shazam before Shazam was Shazam.
Yeah. He's being played by The Rock, I believe.
Yeah, Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Yeah. And his movie should be coming out. I actually
God knows who when.
Yeah, who knows with all these delays. But basically in this comic, one day he had heard of an orphan kid who was crying and praying out to Santa, asking him, why did Santa never bring presents to the kids in Kondak? So Black Adam took it upon himself, as the gracious ruler he is, to track down Santa Claus. So he heads to the North Pole, basically uncovering the ancient city of Mira, which is like the city/church that Saint Nick was a part of, which ties into Constantine's story, because he brings up Mira, the church that Saint Nick was a part of. There he battles like trolls and elves until he finally reaches Nicholas, however it's pronounced, the wizard who basically hid the entire city in ice at the North Pole, who's confirmed to be Santa Claus. And again, shares the same like name and power sets as the Santa story or Santa character from Constantine's story. So after that, there's a hefty battle between Black Adam and this powerful ancient wizard that's hidden a city for centuries, and eventually Black Adam is able to overpower the wizard with his own magic, and they cut a deal. This is before he's like about to kill him. Essentially, he like tells the wizard, you have to give gifts to the children of Kondak every year now, and with that, Black Adam will graciously accept a lump of coal. So he doesn't have to give Black Adam anything. Black Adam is taking the sacrifice for the children of Kondak, whether they've been nice or not. And he's like, you have to bring him presents now. I will just take a lump of coal.
Yeah, so, did this wizard of Nick ever explain like why he wasn't giving presents to these children?
If I'm being completely honest, I don't know. I think it might be because he hated the magic that Black Adam was using. Like maybe he had beef with the Shazam wizard, like the original Shazam wizard. I don't. I need to reread the comic to really remember. There is a reason, and I think it's just because he was mainly spiteful towards like the wizard or Black Adam.
That's kind of messed up.
Yeah, but isn't that kind of nice though? Like Black Adam isn't like the mean, scary villain he's always portrayed to be.
I've never seen him to be like that bad of a homie. Maybe it's because I don't know too much about him, but yeah.
I think there's a story. I think it's called World War III in the DC comics, and he can be a little messed up sometimes. I mean, he's like dunked on characters like Superman before, and imagine Black Panther, but just not nice.
Yeah,
with Wakanda. So imagine having like a whole nation, and you've got like some super powerful resource. In this case, the magic.
He's like what's his name? He's like Dr. Doom.
Yeah. I guess you could say that. Doctor Doom. They're different in a lot of ways, but when it comes to ruling and how
they both own a country. That's the one similarity that matters here.
They rule. They don't rule the country, or at least Black Adam doesn't rule his country with an iron fist. He's actually very nice to the people, but he treats the rest of the world, treats them with an iron fist. So yeah, in that same regard, good comparison, Gino. Good comparison.
I'm trying out here, people. I'm trying.
So in that story, Santa's like still this crazy mystic wizard, and the man has had a bunch of other tales told about him in the DC universe that really stray from that, especially when it comes like, for those of you that don't know, like the main man Lobo himself. He's Gino's finally. I did know
because when I was looking at the examples of how comic books have had Christmas tales, there was like a big one about Lobo and Santa Claus.
And some people might not know Lobo. He's think of like DC's Deadpool, but more powerful.
He's like Deadpool and Wolverine kind of mix.
Yeah, when it comes personality and look wise, yes, he kind of looks like a member from the Kiss band, but also he's incredibly powerful. Mm-hmm. I wouldn't say he's like Kryptonian level, but there were times where he was able to go toe to toe for a little bit with Superman.
Like
so you can
Superman too, I think.
So you can expect him to be like a low tier, maybe like planetary or low tier cosmic, maybe high tier planetary level character.
Yeah.
So stronger than Deadpool, but when you think of personality-wise, think similar to Deadpool and Wolverine combined, as Gino said earlier. So basically with this story, Lobo's account of Santa is way different than Constantine's. Lobo explains that Santa is like this brutal dictator and is a merciless elf slave owner known as Chris Crusher Kringle. He claims, ain't that a name?
Chris Crusher Kringle.
He claims Santa like basically set up his stronghold in the North Pole and maintains like an army of malnourished elves to keep them both in line and incredibly feral. So he's saying that Santa's like this very messed up guy on Earth. So Lobo's not a fan, and basically gets offered a bounty on Santa Claus by the Easter Bunny, a bitter rival of Santa Claus, of course. And Lobo gladly takes the offer. Heading to the North Pole, he massacres, like just brutally goes through all the elves. I
feel bad for the elves. I feel bad for the elves in most of these stories.
Just starved,
get, screwed over.
Yep. Yeah, they did not get they definitely got the short end of the stick on that one. Yeah, Lobo just goes through massacring these elves until he gets to Santa's throne. Yeah, Santa's just sitting on this big throne in Lobo's story. And when he gets there, Santa pulls out 2 shivs and meets with the main man. And when he gets there, Santa pulls out these 2 shivs and just starts like a deadly Mortal Kombat style fight with Lobo.
So the shivs were like ice picks, right?
No, they were like legitimate blades.
Like legitimate. Like nice. Like
Santa comes strapped. He's prison shifts. And, he's going toe-to-toe with Lobo. He's not, like, expert hand-to-hand martial artist. Both of them are getting some brutal cuts in. And Santa even nearly had Lobo on the edge there, but Lobo just refuses to be defeated by such a monster. And so gains the upper hand and decapitates Santa Claus, officially taking him out. He leaves the North Pole, and before he leaves, just to really put the nail in the coffin, he just shoots Rudolph in the head as like a last hurrah, taking Santa Claus's head with him and dropping it off at the Easter Bunny's place.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's Lobo's account of jolly old Saint Nick. May not be as trustworthy or credible as Lobo claims, though, because, Santa has had other normal experiences in the DC universe. So that's one account. Again, like I said, DC really takes liberties with these stories. Other heroes also, like, interact. Like, I forget where Lobo was telling this, but I think it was Superman that was like, no, that's not actually Santa Claus, because Superman also has like a run-in with Santa Claus, quote unquote.
More than a couple.
A couple in the history, in his history. I think the only one that's really in continuity still is this one instance where he has this dream of Krypton, I believe, and something specific, like something Krypton made. I think it's something that his dad had made. So it's like Krypton tech. You can't find it anywhere, and he just like it's this dream of him celebrating Christmas with his parents, and really happy. Wakes up and comes to find under the Christmas tree a little note from Santa Claus that says Merry Christmas, and in it's that same present that he had imagined in his dream from Krypton. So in that account, he claims that Santa Claus was real. There's no way anyone else would have been able to get that Krypton technology to him. So like Santa Claus is a nice and good guy. And so he doesn't believe Lobo's story, which obviously I think we can all agree Lobo is probably being a tad over dramatic with this story. And that's just
I mean, why else would brutal dictator Santa like be delivering presents to people around the world? I
Yeah,
guess. Unless
right.
Santa's not, is Santa perhaps not real?
no,
Nikita?
Gino, that's not no.
What?
Santa's real. Santa's real.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that was
Okay.
kind of silly for me to suggest there.
Gino, why would you say such a thing?
I thought it might be a little controversial.
You can get canceled with that, Gino. Santa's real.
Okay.
How dare you?
I'm sorry, guys.
Anyways, in the DC universe, where Santa's also real, he's done a lot of crazy stuff, as you can see, like ranging from being a crazy mystic wizard that's like hidden the North Pole for centuries to a brutal dictator that has elf slaves that he malnourishes and with 2 shivs
Sterilizes them.
Yeah, exactly. Or to just a regular old nice guy who delivers presents to people like Superman.
I
and
will
other
say
heroes.
that Kryptonian story is kind of incredible.
Yeah,
It's
right?
very sweet.
Yeah, it was definitely it's a good read. It's a really good read, and that's not all he does. I mean, he'll bring other like presents to other heroes and stuff like that. But on top of all that, he'll actually sneak into Apokolips, which is this like fortified planet. It's one of the most powerful planets in the DC like multiverse, essentially, and it's owned by Darkseid. If y'all have ever heard of Darkseid, he's DC's big bad, like arguably stronger than Thanos, and we can get into that a whole nother episode. But like super powerful evil dude, and every year Santa Claus sneaks into Apokolips, gets through their security forces, the soldiers, everything, and delivers a lump of coal to Darkseid. Just imagine, like Santa Claus just cheerfully going through, just taking on the Omega beams,
like
the anti-life
dodging
equation. Is like,
fucking parademons
nope.
like a boss.
Here you go, Darkseid. So yeah, Santa Claus could arguably incredibly powerful in the DC universe if he can get through Apokolips with a breeze. So yeah, DC just has a lot of fun little tales with Santa. So there's no confirmed origin. We can't really say whether Superman's right, Lobo's right, Constantine, whoever. There's all these different stories and different perspectives of him. So I appreciate that from DC. So I think DC and Marvel both kind of bring something new when it comes to the Santa character in their respective universes. And just to go over like the powers of Santa Claus that with these two companies, powers could include one, immortality, obviously, because he's been living for centuries. Magic, to hide the city or turn people into toys. The ability to speak to animals, such as reindeer. Telepathy as well, because in the Marvel comics, he's read people's minds, including like the mutants, and wiped people's minds, as we saw. A form of cryokinesis, like ice powers and weather manipulation on a global scale. Super speed, super strength, teleportation, atomic matter manipulation, all that. He's displayed all that in both comics. So, yeah, I think we can agree. Santa Claus is kind of a badass in comics.
Well, so real question that I have in regards to DC versus Marvel. Do
Yeah.
we have any way of telling which one might be stronger than the other one necessarily? Or any of the iterations out of DC, I suppose?
It's harder to say that because, DC has these other iterations, and the only like confirmed one, like I think Marvel Santa Claus would probably beat like the Mystic Santa Claus. I think he would probably beat Lobo Santa Claus, because Lobo's only really showed off like brute, like super strength and things, and super speed. The only one that might have a chance is the Santa Claus that like delivered to Superman and Darkseid, because I mean it is a serious feat to get through Apokolips. That's something the Justice League can't even do, so you can tell he's beyond like cosmic level in that sense. I just think Marvel's Santa probably beats him out because he's got more feats and has it's more consistent.
That matter
Marvel,
manipulation is kind of
turning
them
people into toys. Yeah, that's kind of a huge one. I don't really see how like DC Santa could beat that unless he's displayed something else. But I think that's getting a little too nitpicky when it comes to nerds saying like who's gonna win Marvel.
Yeah,
or
I'm not
DC,
trying
but-
to start a fight in regards to it. It's
Yeah.
just like
But
I think
it's a good
Omega level mutants are just kind of.
It's a big term. I mean, it's
Yeah.
a serious term in
Yeah.
Marvel. Marvel doesn't play around with that. Well, sometimes they do. They make a lot of Omega level characters, but usually
Like
they're
Squirrel
incredibly
Girl,
powerful.
for instance.
Anyways, that's all for the comic segment. when
Yeah,
it comes
so
to...
anime segment. Today we're going to be talking about how is Christmas celebrated in Japan, Nikita?
I actually don't know.
You don't know?
I've heard some things. Like I heard it's a mini celebration, like kind of like Valentine's Day and stuff in America. That's how it's celebrated in Japan.
Yeah,
Am I
so
right?
so today's segment, when I was researching over it, there were some evident problems with how we were going to go about it. Considering Christmas in Japan is not necessarily like our Western Japan. If I go and say look up online Christmas episodes in anime, you're not gonna find a lot. The one list that I think I found like gave suggestions, and probably about like 7 out of the 10 lists were like, this would be good for about like around the time of Christmas. Do they ever actually mention Christmas? Is this story about Christmas at all? Heck no.
Well, I was gonna say because I remember reading a few chapters. I think it's like when I read Fairy Tail, like they had some Christmas themed chapters and stuff like that.
Yeah. So they celebrate, from what I've been able to tell, in Japan it is celebrated more as like an aesthetic rather than
Religiously,
like a religious, because there's barely any Christians that live in Japan. Nagasaki probably being, I believe, like the one exception. It's a very big like Catholic hub.
Interesting.
I'm sure people there celebrate Christmas differently.
Yeah.
But in general, yeah, you weren't wrong about the romantic side. From my research, I was told that Christmas Eve is apparently one of their more, like, if you want to take your crush out on a date, like, that is a good day to, like, shoot your shot. Like, go for it.
Get her a nice gift.
You know, there's a lot of... No, see, the gift giving usually apparently is saved for their New Year's celebration.
Oh,
Their
okay.
New Year's, which comes between... They celebrate, like, a 5-day tradition, so, like, from the 31st to the 4th of January. That's when they do gift giving, and that's when they will spend time with their families and stuff like that. So, like, that's their, like... I don't want to say religious, but maybe more, like, cultural celebration of, like... togetherness and like being with your family and stuff like that. Yeah, so Christmas in general is different from Japan. So when you're looking at like in the view of anime and manga and the media, you have to look at it from that perspective of how they're changing it. That being said, there is a couple of anime that center around Christmas themes. We've got and I want to talk to you about this because it relates to your section and especially that Lobo versus Santa fight. One of the first examples that came into my mind was Sword Art Online. There is a specific episode in the first season, episode 3, in which Kirito, after losing like a bunch of people in his life, has to go and find an item that will revive a player from the dead. Anybody who doesn't know anything about Sword Art Online, it is like one of the first iterations of you die in the game, you die in real life. It's a bunch of people stuck in a video game. If you die in the video game, you're dead-zo.
I was gonna say I really loved the first season. Not to like sidetrack too much, but like that was one of the first anime that I got into, and I loved it at first. I will say I feel like it's definitely veered off its path in the more recent seasons. But it definitely started off as that.
I think like every time I go back to watch Sword Art Online with like people or something like that, if somebody asks me about it, we'll go through the first season. And like originally I was in the same mindset that you. I was like, first season, pretty fucking awesome, man. Everything else outside of it is bad. And like the more I keep watching it, the more the episodes keep dialing back. I think there's 12 episodes in the first season. It's 10 or 12. It's one of those. And so it used to be that I was like, oh, the whole season's great. And then the episodes started tracking back. It went from up to episode 9's pretty good. Well, up to episode 7's pretty good. I think the first 6 episodes of Sword Art Online are pretty awesome, but other than that, we can talk about that another time because Sword Art Online is its own conversation that needs to be had.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, but there's this episode where he has to go find this item, and in order to get the item, he has to defeat a mob boss, just a boss in the video game called the Renegade Saint Nick, which is this really demonic version of like Santa Claus that he kills in this short battle. And so one of the things I think is really interesting, both from this perspective of Japan, but even in comic books, as we've seen this Lobo versus Santa Claus, is this kind of like demonization of Santa Claus. We've seen it in Western movies as well. With there was a movie that came out a couple of years ago called Klaus, I think.
Yeah.
That
was a really good movie.
Haven't seen it
came out
yet. I'd
last
like
year,
to,
I think.
but
It's a tradition now for me and my brother to watch that episode because that movie. It's really good.
Yeah, but the Santa Claus in that one is evidently like is a bad thing, bad entity, whatever you want to call it.
Oh wait, we're talking about a different movie. Sorry, you said I think you're talking about Krampus.
Thank you,
Klaus?
Krampus. Yes,
Klaus,
not Klaus.
Yeah,
not
he's
Klaus.
not a bad entity. He's not your regular old Saint Nick.
Yeah.
Anyways.
So examples of like Krampus for where Krampus is like this demonic version of Santa Claus, and like where do you think this comes from from writing popular media? Where does this want come to like demonize Santa Claus or make Santa Claus into this really bad kind of figure? Because Lobo has it.
Yeah.
Why do you think people do that? I'm curious of your thoughts on that.
Well, I mean, that's a tougher question because with Western anime, it's more just to do something different with Santa Claus. You know, I feel like that's the case. But with Eastern anime, more like in Japan and stuff like that, because I feel like if Christmas isn't as celebrated as, well, not even just religiously, but as seriously, in Japan, I think they're okay to kind of take more liberties and kind of, if you're going to use them, especially in an anime-like setting where it's more like conflict and combat, I think you can't really use him as like more of an ally, but he's more interesting as more of a rival or nemesis antagonist in a TV show. Like, that would be, I mean, my guess as to why they probably always use Krampus as opposed to like Santa Claus.
I always think
I can't
about
really
it.
think of like a good Santa Claus, like a nice Santa Claus character in anime.
There's always like, if you think too hard about Santa Claus, there's always like a potential like creepiness factor about him, right? Like he sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. Motherfucker's breaking into your house every night once a year, and it's like, great. He's leaving me like presents. What else is he doing? You know, why is he watching me 24/7? Why does he care if I skip? I jump the line getting to the subway every morning. Like,
I don't really think about that.
I'm just saying.
Right,
I'm just saying.
point.
You got to watch out for Santa Claus. He might be a little bit more nefarious than others.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
So that's Sword Art Online. That was the first one that I could think of. There's a couple of other famous examples.
So wait, is Santa big in Japan? Like, is he a celebrated figure in Japan, or no?
I don't believe to the certain extent of like
how he's in like America.
Well, because it's like if you were to go to like a Japanese mall, right? You're not going to run it, I believe, into like Santa Claus people, like we do in America. Every retail mall in America has like Santa Claus around this time of year.
Just chilling, watching.
Don't think Japan has that, for instance, right?
Yeah.
But at the same time, like I was reading that they have during Christmas time they make like a popular sponge cake, and so usually when they decorate it, they'll decorate it with trees, they'll decorate it with like ornament cookies and stuff like that. But Santa Claus is also one of those figures that they'll associate with it. Yeah. So makes sense. It's there. They have just Tokyo has their own version of Disney World. Or they have a Disney World in Tokyo, and so when they have their parade every year around Christmas, there's a Santa Claus who's associated with it, for instance.
Gotcha.
But yeah,
interesting. So definitely not similar to how America celebrates.
Correct. It's not. It's like not as hardcore. I guess.
Yeah.
Not to say that
makes sense.
But I mean, they also put up Christmas lights and stuff like that, so it's like it's similar. It's just not to like again. They don't have the same religious significance that we might have. And even we kind of, I think as Americans, have like a kind of pseudo religious factor. I don't know. It's just more ingrained in the culture, I think.
Yeah, I agree.
So whereas Japan is Western influenced, and so because of that, that's why they have it, but like they don't have it. Same thing with Halloween. They have Halloween, but it's not like our Halloween per se. We'll get to that next year.
Okay,
we'll talk
next year
because I love Halloween in Japan.
Special.
Cool. So Sword Art Online. The other ones that are usually famous for having Christmas associated with them are actually Netflix originals series, which are usually co-opted by American companies. 2 Netflix series that you can check out or you won't check out. One of them I'm not a big fan of. The other one I quite like a bit. Neo Yokio, which was created by the Vampire Weekend band member Ezra Koenig. Sorry if I'm pronouncing your last name wrong, Mr. Koenig. Which stars Jaden Smith as the main character.
Wow.
Yeah. Jamie Foxx is also in that Christmas special, I believe. I don't remember the characters that they voiced, but they are definitely there. Jude Law. I'm not sure if you know who he is, but he's a famous actor. He was in Captain Marvel. He was in...
yes.
Okay. Yeah, her mentor.
Dang.
That's Jude Law.
That's a stacked cast.
It is. Is it a very good anime? I personally don't think so.
I was hoping you were going to say that was the good one, Gino.
See, the animation's kind of
Okay.
Story's kind of This Christmas special is cool. They talk about, like, the materialistic nature of Christmas and, like, how that's really pervaded our culture, as I was noting earlier. And so, it's got, I think, potential. The voice acting is cool. I like hearing Jaden Smith as an anime character. I think that's neato. Go check it out if you want to. It's only 6 episodes.
All right, so what's the other one then?
Okay, it's called Agretsuko. Or Agretsuko, sorry.
That's the one you like.
That is the one I like. It's a comedy. It's a bunch of animals, essentially. The main character is like a red panda. Who is really into death metal, but it's like a slice of life animation with all these different things happening in her job and her love for music, and that is like the most base explanation I can give to it.
Yeah,
it's on Netflix. Go give it a watch. It also has a Christmas special. If you're looking to maybe take a dip into it, like dip your toe into the water, it's a good place to start.
How many episodes are out on Netflix right now?
I don't know on Netflix in total. I know there's like 100 episodes of Agretsuko.
Dang.
Neo Yokio only has 6, so
gotcha. Okay.
Like I said, you can always take a walk at it. If you don't like it, you don't like it. I think it's quite funny.
Interesting.
That's my personal opinion on the matter.
I was gonna say the next thing we're about to talk about. I don't know if I trust your opinion.
No. Like I said, I'm gonna fight for this movie.
All right. So the next thing we're talking about, Gino, what is it?
Yeah, so Tokyo Godfathers by Satoshi Kon.
Gotcha.
He's a famous director who sadly died back in 2010. R.I.P.
Rest in peace.
Very good director, though. He's come up with a couple of other movies called Millennium Actress, Blue Horizon, some other ones that I can't name off the top of my head, but definitely go check them out if you get a chance to, if you're into more like avant-garde kind of anime. Yeah. So me and Nikita watched this movie recently together, just so I could get his thoughts on the matter. It's a good Christmas movie, in my opinion. But I'll let him talk about it for a second, and then I'm gonna defend the fuck out of it.
Well, do you want to go over the plot first? Like, what was the plot?
Yeah, I mean, the base plot for Tokyo Godfathers is it's 3 homeless people go out and they find a baby on Christmas Eve who has been just kind of disregarded in a trash heap.
Yeah.
And these 3 homeless people try to find this baby's parents, to find what's up, what happened, did they abandon it, are they bad people?
Also, spoiler warning, by the way, because I would like you to explain like what happens at the where does this movie go?
I will. So there will be spoilers for this movie. If you haven't seen it yet, you might be interested.
Pause the episode, watch it, and then come back.
Go see it. Yeah.
Yeah, because we're gonna get. Continue, Gino. Continue.
Yeah, well, that's my thoughts. I just wanted to hear your base thoughts, and then I'll try to defend it.
Well, we didn't get to. Oh, okay, yeah. All right. So that's the general plot. They're trying to find out where this baby goes to. All right. Yeah. So again, if you don't want to be spoiled, or maybe you're not an anime fan and you don't want to watch it, but if you are an anime fan and you think you're interested, go watch it first. Wait, what is it on, Gino? Is it on anything? You're gonna have to find it.
You can rent it on YouTube if you don't find it anywhere else.
Yeah,
but you could rent it on YouTube
wink.
or Amazon Prime or any other streaming service.
Yeah.
They're included there. You could.
Any other streaming
quote, unquote,
service.
Could
wink,
there.
wink. Anyways, yeah. All right. So my thoughts. This movie is a clusterfuck of just happenstance, weird magical moments, and all that. And so here's the thing. Okay, so these 3 homeless people find this baby, right? It just takes a turn. Like you feel like you're watching the movie and you just get hit with a it's like this very low energy thing, and then big energy plot twist, and then low energy thing, big energy plot twist. Didn't explain the plot twist beforehand. Low energy thing, and it just goes in that cycle, and so like so when I'm watching this, like we were watching this with a friend, and out of nowhere they're just they save this guy from getting run over by his own car, because this one lady with a dog, like I think his car got stuck or something. I don't really remember.
His car got stuck and he went behind to go push it, and so while he was underneath it trying to push it forward, a woman's dog jumps on the car, she runs into it, it pushes back
out of nowhere. So then they run into him and help save him essentially and push the car off. So he's like, all right, let me just take you to my daughter's wedding then. You're all invited. Thanks for saving my life. They go to the daughter's wedding. Really odd thing. Okay, a little weird, but whatever. We'll go with it. Somehow discovering or finding the next clue, and then bam, out of nowhere, Hispanic dude comes out, tries to shoot the guy that they had just saved, and another guy jumps in, takes the bullet, who's also connected to one of the characters. That happens out of nowhere. He takes one of the characters and the baby as a hostage and takes her back home, I guess, to his mother, who like breastfeeds the baby for a little bit. Really weird. The other 2 go off. I think they eventually split up, and one of the old homeless guys nearly gets beat to death. He gets found by this angel stripper person who takes him in.
So real quick. So before we go into the, that is the whole plot per se. I think there's some things that have to be looked at, and again, I'm going to try to defend this movie after seeing other people really enjoyed it. I think I enjoyed it last night. There's some
fun.
things.
It was a fun watch, I will say.
You have to keep it. Oh, go for it. Yeah.
Oh, wait. What were you gonna say? Keep in mind.
You got to keep in mind of the idea of like magical realism, and while I think this movie suffers from not like just going hardcore on that magical realism, I still think it works quite well for like the idea of like, despite the coincidences, because I agree with you, the coincidences, you're just like, bruh.
Yeah.
I liked the idea that if it is truly like God, which they speak about a lot in the movie, if it's God who's the one who's directing all these events, that it's like on Christmas, the time when people are supposed to be together and like being in a family and blah 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 blah, that it's like God pushing all of these coincidences to happen and making sure that like everything is going in the direction it needs to go. I kind of think it's beautiful in terms of like a classic Christmas story. I can understand why other people would feel differently.
Well, it just there's coincidence after coincidence, and that's one thing. Except like some things were just kind of left unexplained, like the shooter. Like, besides, they went into it very briefly, and they're like, oh, it looks like it was just a fight between two mobs.
Yeah,
like,
they said it was like
mobs.
maybe like a gang war was happening in Tokyo.
And that's it. Then just like breezes it by afterwards, and then like how all these coincidences keep happening where they find the trans woman's former boss / mother who like gives her money, and then the one homeless dude runs into his former daughter, and it just like doesn't really...
I liked those for the most part. There was only one coincidence that I was like, this felt unneeded. There's a certain scene where they're in like a drugstore or something like that, and they get kicked out, and like this drunk guy who's in there is like picking a fight with the homeless people, and because they're all having this fight outside, an ambulance out of nowhere comes in and crashes into the building. And they're just like, well, thank God we weren't in there. Exactly. And I was like, okay, that might be the one case where I'm like, this just felt unneeded.
And it just happens, and then they don't talk about it.
Yeah, we don't know why that guy crashed. We don't know what he gets out of the
shooting, a crash, and then like it goes to the end of the movie, and the mom like tries to kidnap the baby because they find out that the mom isn't actually the real mother. It was the wife who's a part of like this couple that's just a very toxic relationship, and so at her child I think died in childbirth or something like that, and so she goes to kidnap a baby to fix her marriage.
Yes,
is basically what's going on. So she kidnapped this baby, and then the police were after her, dumped the baby, and that's how the homeless people found him, right? Now the homeless people are back, find her at the bridge. She steals the baby from them and runs away, and then
convinces them that she actually is the mother. They didn't know, and so
it's like that's excusable. But then like jumps into a truck, drives off. They jump into like a taxi cab, go in this like crazy car chase where she fucking like
that car chase was excellent, by the way. It was
well animated, but very stupid because she like drives the truck into a store and it literally falls on its side and hits the wall. Her and the baby completely fine.
She's fine.
Totally
the homeless guy who's like hanging on the side of the vehicle's fine. The baby's fine.
The other car crashes into the store. They're all fine.
The taxi cab driver's like, hey man, nothing's wrong here. Like, okay.
And then they get, this is where it really like fully commits, and this is where I'm like okay with it. But the reason why I'm mad at this part is because it happened at the end. It should have been happening throughout the movie. Because I'm saying all these crazy coincidences. There was so much exposition and stuff in between. So
I'll get back to that. As why I think
that you like that.
Because it's like I think I just missed it yesterday. Okay. And I was drinking.
But yeah, so like we get to this end scene where the woman's about to jump off the building with her baby because she just wants to give up. Her husband just gets there in time right before she jumps down. It's like, no, don't do it. And she's like, nah, I'm actually going to fully commit. Jumps off, and somehow the little girl grabs her in time. And then the woman's like, oh, wait, I don't want to die. She drops the baby. The other homeless woman dives for the baby. Hits like the rail, a pole, all this crap we're all like, oh my god, she's gonna die. Wait, she's not gonna die. She's gonna grab the rail. No, wait, she didn't. Continues, and then she grabs, what was it, like a big flag or banner or something, and magically, out of nowhere, just wind comes and gently lowers her down. And I'm like, that entire scene, we were all just like, what the fuck just happened? And that's okay, because we're like, you know what, that was actually genuinely funny. My issue is they didn't do that throughout the whole movie, so you didn't get the idea that this was just some wacky, like, magical, like, realism type movie until literally the very end. Because otherwise, it's just all these little coincidences or crazy things that just aren't explained, and they just happen. And then, again, it's a very, like, a decent chunk of, like, a dull period, and then they go into the next thing. So you've almost, like, forgotten the last thing that's happened, and it's like, wait, what? Like, why is this happening? And, again, just unexplained plot points that they just bring up and then let go. Like, at the very end, when they're in the hospital, the homeless girl's father meets up with them, or, like, introduces the original parents to the homeless people, and they're like, this is the person that saves your baby, and sees his daughter. And for those of you that have watched the movie, or I guess even if you haven't, if you're just listening, she had stabbed her father earlier, and that's why she ran away and became homeless. And so they just like meet up, and that's it. They don't go into like what the resolution is afterwards. Does he gracefully like accept her back? Does he not? Like, it's all these random plot points that just did not get resolved. I feel like, you know, so that was my main issue. Is it wasn't. I feel like the pacing wasn't good with their happenstance, and I feel like with some of the happenstances they didn't even get resolved.
Yeah. So. I get those variances.
Sorry, not to be so passionate about it.
I understand those.
It was a fun watch. I do want to say, final take, not to interrupt you, Gino. It was a fun watch for the first time through. I don't think I'd like to rewatch it, but I will say it was kind of fun to watch and funny as things were just happening, and we were like,
I thought the comedy in the movie itself was like
good.
A1. The dialogue and like the animation segments, like visual comedy.
Yeah,
wonderful. So
Agreed.
good. Yeah. So before I go into this very like. Mine's gonna be much quicker than that.
Yeah,
like
sorry,
said,
that was just all
I can
my
understand
complaints.
where Nikita's grievances come from. I don't know if I fully agree with them. That's okay.
Yeah.
You know, we all have our different subjective opinions. This is,
Yeah,
I would
that's
say,
okay.
I think this is a very
okay if you love the
subjective movie.
I hope you know. Like, I'm not trying to trash everyone that likes it. That was just my thoughts going through it as I was watching. You know.
Real quick, I want to thank the YouTube channels Bonsai Pop, Mother's Basement, and Bread Sword.
Okay.
For they talked about this film, and I was watching some of it last night just to get a expanded take on the movie and really reflect over what I had seen. There's this really cool concept in Japan that might sound familiar to you, kamikaze.
Yeah.
Which the literal translation of which is like God's wind or divine's wind. Divine wind. So what most people would know kamikaze as is from World War II and the kamikaze strikes, which were essentially Japanese suicide bombers. But it originally stems from this idea that the Mongols were invading Japan, and Japan was not ready for it. This is like a long, long time ago, but they weren't ready for it until a giant tempest, like a giant, I think it was a typhoon, rolled through and like wiped out the Mongol fleet.
Yeah.
And then they just couldn't invade Japan. Japan was like, oh, cool. Like, that was literally God's intervention. So the idea of, like, God's wind is, like, really prevalent in Japanese culture. And so throughout this movie, we have this really stunning ending scene where literally one of the main characters and the baby is saved by this uplifting wind that lifts up their banner and it gently puts them down on the ground. This wind can be seen several other times in the movie, and a lot of times it happens with the coincidences, which is where my original point came in.
Oh, I didn't notice that.
A lot of the coincidences that happen and occur are a result of literally, like, supposedly, like, divine intervention.
Yeah.
And saying that, like, this time, which is supposed to be about, like, as I said, like, people being together, is literally being directed and like is supposed to happen. It's like fate almost.
Yeah.
And so like I don't know. I found a lot of beauty for it. I think like this is like the most Eastern take you can get on like the classic American Christmas story.
Yeah.
About being together with family and like what it means to be with people you love and like coming back to them, despite what things might have happened in the past. Okay. I don't know. Looking back at it now, I think it's quite beautiful. That ending scene where they float down, like the sun comes through and like lights everything up, like fucking beautiful.
So what did you think though of like the pacing? Like, because you know, you watch these videos and then you see that, but like as you were watching, did you realize that, or did you think that, or did you like that as it was happening? Like,
I kind of, one of the things that I was really upset about in terms of pacing was how much the three main characters got separated from each other, because it almost seems antithetical to this idea of like unity, because really they found out all three of them needed each other. They were good when they were together. It was a strong pairing, but they also talked about the fact that they needed their lives back together again. And everything worked out. You could talk about pacing, like I said, if you're looking for like a really strong like plot structure, you're not going to find it here necessarily. And I don't think that's always a problem. I think you got to go into it mind open and just enjoy the ride, experience it, really try to live through the mindset of like these characters. It was really touching. There was somebody on one of these YouTube comments was like, yeah, man, he's like, I was homeless between these like years, and he was like, this movie like hit hard. He was like, I felt it. He was like, it was very like reminiscent. He was like, you know, it reminded me quite a bit. But yeah, so again, I would personally recommend you go check it out if you get a chance to. But yeah, that's our Christmas movie coming out of Japan. Tokyo Godfathers.
Yeah, that's our review. That's the anime segment as a whole, right? That's everything.
It is. That is
awesome. Then last segment, debate segment. We just thought we'd throw this in there. It might be a little fun. Me and Gina are going to choose one character that we think would be like the strongest representative to represent like winter or the holidays in general, and pit them against each other and see who would win. So I pick one from comics. He picks one from anime. I think if you're a comic fan, you probably know who I'm going to pick most likely. But did you already have one picked out, Gina?
I've got him. Yeah, we'll see how well he does.
All right. So my rep for comic books would be Iceman from the X-Men. So Iceman is this Omega level mutant, part of the X-Men, and we've talked about Omega level mutants before, but they're some of the most powerful mutants out there, and you might be thinking, how does Ice translate to Omega level? You know, how does like, I think you brought it up, Gino, but like, how does that match up to like changing people into toys, essentially? You know, and it has to do with not just like ice abilities, but thermokinesis. He's able to affect thermal energy on the molecular scale. So not even just like just water and ice, but hydrogen and oxygen molecules, which is a powerful thing. So he can create ice and water out of thin air with this, he's got a bunch of different abilities. He's got thermal vision, cryokinesis, which is just, again, manipulating and creating ice structures like ice bolts, ice domes, ice beams, can freeze other things, can create weapons, can create even, he can also create things like ice clones and ice giants. He's got molecular moisture conversion and inversion, which may not sound as powerful, but imagine someone being able to manipulate the molecules and the moisture just on your body, inside you. Like, he's able to freeze your blood flow. Current Marvel Bobby has done some of this stuff. Like, he has done cellular replacement, which is probably arguably one of his most powerful abilities, where you can cut him down, dissolve him, evaporate him, disintegrate him, whatever. As long as there's water anywhere on Earth, he can reform himself completely. As long as there are any like moisture molecules in the air, hydrogen, oxygen, doesn't even technically have to be water, but I think current Marvel Bobby can only do it with water, as I've seen. I think future Bobby has explained that he can do it with just the molecules around them. So Iceman is ridiculously OP, but that's Omega level Iceman, Bobby Drake the mutant right there. And so that's my contender. That's my rep for comics. Gino, what about you?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie. The Anime Legion anime characters who can use ice, they're fucked, I would say. See, the main other problem that I have as well is like the whole idea of being able to manipulate ice and water molecules, I guess, but I don't think I can ever name a character who could do that for his like his literal like person.
Oh yeah.
And which is the biggest problem. And so I originally was going to stake my bets on my boy Toshiro Hitsugaya, or Captain Hitsugaya from Bleach, who's our spiky white-haired badass, with the ice dragon Bankai and blah blah. Go watch Bleach. It's great. Great anime, great shonen. You can look him up real quick though. Just look up ice Bleach character and he'll pop up and you'll be like, whoa, we like white hair. And I'm like, yeah, we do, baby. Really it comes down to like the idea of like, I wanted to say originally that Bobby Drake just couldn't affect Bleach characters, but the problem is that Bleach characters are invisible. They are not incorporeal to the physical world. And so as soon as you make that distinction, any Bleach character I throw at this fight is just fucked.
Are there any, like, what are his abilities? Like, does he have anything to, go over his abilities real quick.
Besides controlling ice, which is the big one. I mean, we'd have to go into, like, a full explanation of, like, Bleach's idea of, like, spiritual matter.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, for instance, the fact that, like, the reason he can't see him is because he's made up of something called Reiatsu, which is, like, spirit particles. He doesn't have, like, a physical form. Okay. So Bobby Drake has a physical form, right?
Okay, so he has spirit particles.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Which is why I said Bobby Drake wouldn't be able to, like, see him, for instance, right? Yeah, so he would be invisible. That's great and everything. Like, if Bobby Drake maybe didn't know that he was fighting this guy, it'd be one thing, but the fact that Bobby Drake can also, like, pop back up anywhere in the world, like, nothing my mans can do is like strong enough to counter that or to like stop it, for instance.
Okay. So essentially he doesn't have a way to kill, but does he have like any other abilities?
Because the interesting thing is that's why I said you also would have to bring in the question of souls into it. This isn't as much an ability as, again, like just the idea of like Soul Eater, or not Soul Eater, sorry, Bleach, is that if I were to slice you with one of the Bleach's character's swords, Zanbakuto, that would literally like sever your soul. And so, like, I don't know how that works with Bobby Drake and his ability to like teleport everywhere and
potentially be. Well, that's his physical body, though. I mean, arguably, though.
But what is his? That's what I'm saying. What is his physical body in the sense of like, where could I say his soul is technically like kept? I guess if I have half of Bobby Drake here on this side of the earth and I have like another half on this side of the earth, like. You know, like, well, I don't know. That's why I said
that Bleach characters can see. Like, can they see a person's soul when they're fighting them, or no? Because I don't watch Bleach, so I don't really know.
I don't think so. I don't know. I can't. I'm trying to think of instances where they would have been looking at humans and would have had to be like looking at their like. They can look at their soul energy, like how much they're like powering up and everything. But again, I don't know, man. I'll be honest with you. I'd like to say that maybe with that feat specifically, that if he could get a slice on Bobby Drake, it would have potential, but again, like if Bobby Drake is able to go on the offensive and see somehow that with the slight way that Bleach characters do interact with the physical world, because a Bleach character can destroy buildings, for instance. Like it's not like they can't touch the physical world.
Yeah.
I'm sure that with his master manipulation over like being able to sense water particles moving, he probably would be able to like sense somebody moving around. That's my opinion, at least.
Okay, yeah, because I could see the counter that essentially whenever your character were to make an attack of some sort with his like water ice abilities, he's forming water and ice, and so at that point, Bobby Drake could probably sense it at least and know where the attack's coming from. So even if he can't see the person, he knows when he's about to be.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is that, like, I don't even know how much my boy would have to pull out like his Bankai and start using like ice abilities, for instance. Like I feel like it's unneeded in this fight almost because like it's not, he doesn't need that raw versus raw power. It's more of the idea is how much is he going to be able to affect him before Bobby Drake is either able to find him or whatever.
Because I do think in that regard it's funny because we've kind of like flipped roles at this point where you're like, oh, I think Iceman can do it, and I'm like, oh, maybe you have a chance, even though I'm the comic rep. But because the downside to Bobby is being an X-Men, he's trained, but he's not they note this a lot. He's not a very athletic person.
I was going to ask you about speed. Yeah. Was the other thing that I was kind of curious about.
Yeah, he's not incredibly fast. Besides being able to transfer himself to another point with water, which I guess you could argue is instantaneous. Otherwise, though, when he's actually traversing and fighting, like making an attack, he's got regular human reflexes. Maybe he can speed himself up by like sliding on ice, obviously, but otherwise, he not to the point where it's like the speed of sound or speed of light.
Well, this is what I was also going to ask. So, like, Bobby Drake is technically like literally, that's why I'm saying I'm trying to like pin down his abilities. He is literally like in every like water molecule essentially, right?
Yeah. So essentially, I mean, he can,
So that was my question about the soul earlier too, is that it's like, well, all right, so if my dude slashes like a water molecule, like, does that damage his soul?
Well,
like,
okay, so wait. So question then, is your character a planet buster by any chance?
I don't believe so. I don't believe most characters in Bleach are planet busters, and certainly not our captain.
I was going to say, if he were a planet buster, I think he would take it. Okay, so then, what was his name again?
Toshiro Hitsugaya.
Gotcha. So,
to anybody who's listening who's like a hardcore Bleach fan, I'm so sorry for not repping our boys harder. I know like Naruto stats like off the bat in my head, and like there's really, I wouldn't say there's any characters in Naruto that can also deal with this. Like, it's just kind of
That's the nature of comics and anime. You've got some anime that are just at this cosmic level, like I could think of like Dragon Ball as one instance, but obviously it's not related to winter or ice, so you can't really pull anyone from there. But with comics, it's like you've got a huge range of characters that are ridiculously busted and some that are just not.
And there are some Bleach characters I certainly think who I believe could deal with Bobby Drake.
But winter-wise,
but not my boy here. Yeah. The interesting thing about him is that if you want to compare him to other members of the Soul Society, which is where most of the baddies from Bleach come from, he's relatively young.
Okay.
So, like, for instance, he's part of this squad of captains in the Soul Society, and they're the top dogs, the best fighters. He's the youngest one. He's only been there for, like, 15 to 20 years, whereas, like, the other ones have, like, averages of, like, hundreds of years.
Dang.
And so he's, like, his raw potential is fucking
incredible.
A1, because of how young he is and the fact that he's just going to keep building up spiritual pressure as time goes on.
And just another question, because I don't know you didn't really go into like his ice abilities per se, but what for his ice abilities, does he have anything that could go to like the level of like absolute zero? Like, what can he do with ice and water?
He it's really not that much. I think his biggest feat that I was able to look up was that he's best known for like being able to freeze explosions.
Okay.
Like, mid them exploding, he's able to just freeze them, which I think it's pretty cool. I would say. I'm not sure how the science of that works, but
I mean, arguably though, that I'm trying to think.
Pretty fucking fast.
No, that is. I mean, that's like that's at a molecular level as well.
I would agree. It's just not like global molecular level. That's what I'm saying is that it's like his problem isn't that like I wouldn't say his ice is like bad. It's just not on a greater scale like Bobby Drake's is. Bobby Drake's literally is working on like a global perspective.
Yeah. Okay, that's fair.
But yeah, like a lot of his feats like have to do with him destroying buildings or like being able to deflect blasts that destroy blocks and stuff like that. And like that's great and everything. It's just not like, again, Bobby Drake just has like this regenerative ability that is so
being able to heal
OP.
himself. And it's crazy. So I guess in that instance, then Omega level mutant Iceman takes out
Toshiro Hitsugaya. Maybe he does.
All right.
I'd like to rep my boy.
I was gonna say I was hoping there'd be more of a battle there, but you know, that's okay. That's okay.
I was caught unprepared.
I'm
Obviously,
sorry,
it's
I'm
okay.
sorry.
I'm gonna come back in fury in another episode. I'm gonna come back
Like,
later
wait,
and
actually-
be like, "No, sorry." Sunglasses, fucking Flash bullshit, and just like, "Oh no, Hitsugaya, my boy comes back and slaps
Takes
Bobby
out.
Drake, takes him down."
man.
No.
Well, all right. Well, that was everything. No, I'm glad not to rub it in your face, but I'm glad comments
Dude,
went out.
Bobby Drake is like,
Yeah, Bobby Drake's
you
OP.
know.
Iceman is ridiculously overpowered when he's used at his full potential, and it's a shame because a lot of writers don't at his full potential. His most recent comic, his solo issue, really played around with that a lot against Daken, who's the son of Wolverine, and he had like an apocalypse seed in him, so it made him like a very powerful type character. And Iceman just like was wiping the floor with him. So it's like Iceman is crazy powerful, but a lot of people just use him as like this guy who's like, oh, I'll shoot ice beams at you and that's it. And I wish they explored his crazy abilities more because they really don't do him justice right now in the X-Men comics.
Well, that's why I said I'd like
does.
to give it to Hitsugaya, but Hitsugaya has kind of gotten his ass whooped now a couple of times in Bleach. I think against characters who would not fare too well
against Iceman.
Against Bobby Drake. Yeah, so unfortunate. It happens though. It's anime.
Well, there we go, comics. We won out this time, boys. We won it.
And we're done. That's it. It's over.
That's everything for the Boxing Day special for
Not
you guys.
to be confused with Christmas.
Yeah, please. No, but we all hope you all had a good, safe holiday season. Again, New Year's is still coming up, so please be considerate. We are still in the middle of a COVID-19 pandemic, so just be safe.
Stay home with your families.
Yeah,
Enjoy
make the
yourselves.
smart decision. But if you all want to keep up to date with everything we're doing, remember, follow us at _Wonder Project on Instagram, or look us up, Wonder Project on Facebook. We'll probably be setting up a Twitter, all that stuff. And we're going to be uploading all these episodes to Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, all that stuff. We're getting that set up in these 2 weeks. So if you want to keep up to date with that, follow us there. Yeah.
I think that's everything.
Yeah.
Love you all. Thanks for listening. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you all. Hope you all enjoyed and you learned something. Bye, nerds.
Bye-bye.